8-Bit Gamer managed to grow his channel from 5,000 subscribers to 120,000 subscribers in a 2-month period. And today we're going to be talking about what he did to do that and how you can take advantage of his techniques and grow your channel that same amount. Hey, welcome to Kublai Khan's Lectures and Lessons. We do lessons every Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we're going to break down what specifically 8-Bit Gamer did to become so successful in such a short amount of time. Now, to help you understand what 8-Bit Gamer did, I need you to kind of follow along an analogy with me. Imagine you are a gold miner, an individual who is searching around looking for the shiny monies. And the shiny monies in this analogy will be views, but stick with me here. You're looking around, you're like, where can I find some sweet damn gold? Well, should I dig here? Should I dig here? I don't know where to dig. So I just start digging randomly. I start trying to find the best case scenario and I hope that I find something that really clicks. Well, after digging around for a little bit, I find something amazing. I strike gold. Yes, but I didn't have any indicator on what that was, really beyond just me trying to dig around. After which, you really are hoping that you don't find someone else who's also there, because you're like, oh shit, now that guy can also get some of my gold, and if he's bigger than me, and especially if he's more equipped than I am, he can take all the gold away from me, and then I'm not going to be very successful with that. Thus, I have to go once again into the open world looking for something else. Now, this analogy is representing what 8-Bit Gamer did to become successful. He took it upon himself to, let me prepare the little thing for you, took it upon himself to go looking around the open world to find gold. Specifically, he was looking for videos that had the chance of success. What I mean by this is that he would go into like Steam Greenlight and check, open world destruction sim, demolish build, maybe that would do well. Checked Path Forge, will this do well? No, 824 views. Artist Simulator, Passport Out, Artist Simulator, 30,000 views. What is this? What he was doing is that he was testing the ground, trying to dig, by making an individual video for each one of these games. The hope that one of them would hit gold and start pouring in success. This is something that he was able to do and eventually hit super gold with this game, Hello Neighbor. How to Freeze the Shark, 116,000 views. Video before that, 777. 777, 116. One more video over, 370. Next video, 736. So on and so forth. Basically, he was playing a system where he was looking through very low competition, not very known games, and trying to play all of them and making a video for each one of them. He made a video, Clone Drone right here. You see he has 46,000 views, 85,000 views in Clone Drone again, and then Hello Neighbor again. Okay, so he's trying out these different games, and when he finds something that's really effective, he continued to dig in there. Now, as he did so, that got him more views, more subscribers, but, and this is a big part of that but, is that he had to only do these popular games, because you can see here he had 1.3 million views on this video, and then immediately after drops down to 44, goes back to Hello Neighbor, goes to 1.3, but after he goes back up, you can see that there's eventually a drop here. Streets of Rogue was not a popular gold mining video. It was one that got him 9.5 thousand views. Good, not bad, but nothing compared to this Hello Neighbor that followed the fact. Keyboard Sports got him 7.4 thousand views. So the point here is that as you, as a creator, are trying to find these potential games within Steam Greenlight or in other different places, itch.io I think is one of the places where you can download games that are just made for fun, and then you put those games up in the hopes that one of them gets really popular. Now this takes a lot of effort and time and doesn't always make something happen. It's kind of like digging for gold, and sometimes you will get nothing. So let's talk a little bit about the pros and cons of this system. One of the major pros that exists about creating content in this way is you have the potential of sudden growth. It's really awesome to have that sort of bang, and then you've made a lot of attention. You get to try a lot of games. You have to. In fact, you have to constantly, once again sticking with the analogy, be digging in new places, because eventually the gold is all dug up and you have to find something new. You can create a conversion where people will go and pay you money to play their games. That's one of the big advantages of it, is that you can have them as a system, have them buy stuff, and specifically through like buying your attention, you sell amount of views that you can get, and that will allow you to then have them pay you to play their game. Thumbnails are very important, so if you're into Photoshop, typically the most effective is fast, highly editable videos. And then there's a reliance on clickbait. What that is really referring to is titles. You can see in how our lovely friend here does some of these names. Become one with your space. Can you freeze the neighbor? Things that aren't specifically pushing the name of the game, but it's kind of something clickable besides the actual experience that's there. Now I see that we have a question, and we'll answer that question after we go through this a little bit, because we also have, which this might answer your question, some cons. So let me open up this a little bit wider for you guys. So there's a lot of cons that can also exist with this. Now, to grow well with this, you actually become very ad revenue connected, meaning when you grow this way, you don't really build a community in the same way you would if you developed interesting content that people really like. You're actually developing game content that people watch purely to have game content. Not to know you. It's not about relatedness as much as it's about solving just, I want to see this video. So you don't really have a lot of Patreon potential there. You do have ad revenue pay because a lot of people are paying attention, but that puts you up into a situation where you don't really have a lot of opportunity if they change the ads for you at some point. You're constantly moving new audiences. What this means, and you can see this within his videos, is that he has to consistently jump around and play different games outside of Hello Neighbor. Because he goes and he hits a lot of Hello Neighbor, but he's constantly trying to find other games that will work. 732, 7.9, 102, yes, 151, but now these Hello Neighbor games, some of them, these views are dropping down to 102, 19,000, like 36,000. There's one here, 371, but slowly these views went away. So he had to constantly try to find something else. So then, for a while, and this is an interesting, important point to this, you can see in his growth path here, it's included on Social Blade, this part right here, this is the segment where he grew from Hello Neighbor. But he had a lot of trouble finding another audience after he did. That's what this flat part is. He grew very, very, very little during this time. As I draw the cursor along it, you can see, in fact, that he actually just barely grows 1,000 subs during this time, which was hugely slow comparatively. But then, over here, he has another spike because he found another audience. And from that point, he then consistently found new audiences and eventually developed a different type of content that allowed people to know him a little bit better. So through this process, you can also zoom in and we can get a little bit more information, but we don't need that at the moment. So through this process, you can understand that you have a lot of ad revenue. You don't really build community relatedness. So you're constantly switching to new audiences because otherwise they'll leave because they don't like you. They like your content. And if the content's not as interesting because the game's less interesting, they go. You typically have younger people show up because it's the new hotness and there's not as much relatedness built with a younger group. So you have less mature content to be more successful. So if you want to wow people with your thoughts, that won't necessarily be as good. You have to be first to put out the game. That's that whole gold mining aspect to it too. If someone else hits that gold mine before you, you have very little time or chance to be able to still succeed on top of that. Huge variance in views. We showed that a second ago. Sometimes you get 1 million, sometimes you get 100,000, sometimes you get 2,000. It's a really big variance in how much you actually get. So once again, we can show this out. He gets 13,000, he gets 2.8 thousand. Like, that happens. And even though he's a huge channel, sometimes that's just what occurs at that level. Then there's huge trial and error. A lot of these games aren't successful, and some of them are total shit. And it really sucks if you end up having something that you don't like. Probably you play stuff you dislike, and that's the thing you have to keep going for. You rarely finish games. You don't make a Let's Play series. You don't have episode 1, 2, 3, and 4. You just do things in the game that people want to see. That could be freezing the neighbor. That could be destroying a certain number of people in Clone Drone. That can be the greatest face reveal ever. The greatest cube game. Like, none of these are about playing the story. They're about doing things in the game. YouTube associates you with that type of video. Now, what this means, and this is a big one to understand, is this creates what is known as a pillar series. Pillar series, right here, keep returning to one game. A pillar series is a game that you keep playing because your channel is associated with it. And if you don't keep playing, well, then you don't get a lot of views. And that's what that whole story was with Mr. Switch to the right screen, thank you. What Mr. 8-Bit Ninja had was that all these videos weren't doing nearly as successful as his serious content, his pillar. Since his pillar content isn't there anymore, significantly less views every single time. 1.7, 2.3, 7.4, 2.9. Completely gone from the millions and hundreds of thousands that he had before. So it is important to keep in mind that you end up having this pillar series that becomes the case, and you have to switch from that pillar series. So there's a lot of highs and a lot of lows, and it kind of sucks at times and can be very difficult. So that is how you can use what 8-Bit Ninja used in order to grow to over 100,000 subscribers in a very short amount of time. But remember, there are some pros and there are some cons. Pros, very easy sudden growth that you can do. If you're smart and you start doing the whole digging for gold thing and find the right places to get that sweet content by experimenting and just kind of looking around the open world to find anything that will seem to work, then sweet. And if you like that kind of thing, predicting the future in that regard, you'll love this style. There are a lot of cons, and you have to be wary that you need to constantly switch to new games and new audiences because you have to find the next new hotness. The bigger you get, the more opportunities you can avoid something like this, where you have a pillar series that locks you in. But typically, you will always have one of some kind, especially if you choose a game that gets really popular, that then has a lot of extra content that people keep wanting to do. And then it really locks you into that. But in the end, you're successful and you've gotten to that point and allows you to have a nice recruitment strategy, a nice way to make money, and it can be a lot of fun if you're into searching and playing tons of different games. So thank you for coming by. If you want to learn more, go ahead and pay attention to the QA segment down here, because that's where we'll have the question segment after the fact. And then also up here, you can see some other videos or a card pop up. Thanks for coming by. Remember, Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we do these lectures. Come by again and learn some more. See you.